Sunday, baby. We here. So check me out in my Baywatch tee, because I just started my Beachbody Plan 90-day transformation team. I'm on day 3 and I'm hyped. I've been putting that thing out for months, but I finally started, so I'm hyped, celebrating the small wins. So the title of today's message is Vulnerability is Your Superpower. So, just to set the context of what vulnerability means in our conversation today, Brene Brown has done massive research on what vulnerability is. And her definition is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure, and showing up and being seen. So, I can totally relate to that in that sometimes it's challenging for me to show up and be seen. And if we go back to the definition of showing up and being seen, it's showing up and being seen with the risk that it may not be received, it may not be accepted, it may be rejected. So it's challenging for me. Because sometimes I like to hide. A vulnerability for me is asking for help. Sometimes I'd rather struggle alone than to ask somebody to say, "Yo, I need help." To preface the conversation today, I think that in some ways there's a myth that when we're vulnerable, that we're weak. Um, I think that as we grow up, we experience life. We say, you're crying, you fall down, and people they say, get up, suck it up, get over it. And even our young boys, our young men, that we're telling them not to cry, it's too weak, and things like that. But everybody has emotions. Everyone has feelings. Like, we're humans and we have soft parts of ourselves, and it's normal. And so even to take it a step further in our world today, we have social media, and social media we project the great things, which is awesome. These are good things, right? We want to get the perfect shot, things like that. But also nobody knows the behind the scenes stuff, right? Like no one knows that we have vulnerabilities, we have things that we struggle with as well, even though social media it projects a perfect picture. So the first thing is that I've learned over the past 2 weeks around vulnerability is that even though there's a connotation around weakness when we're vulnerable, the true strength lies in us being vulnerable. And so I had 2 instances that really showed up for me where I was like, okay, like I get it. I get it. So the first was I was on a practice call, and my partner, she shared something that was like really really deep and intimate, and it really inspired me. Like, I was just like thinking to myself, I was like, man, she is so strong to like really go there. And so when I was self-reflecting and looking within myself, I recognized that I in some ways was challenged in terms of like being vulnerable sometimes, because I had this idea that I don't want to appear weak. I don't want to appear weak. And so I had an idea that, oh well, if you really expose yourself, then you being soft, this, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, it's okay, right? Like, that's the strength, like being willing to share those parts of yourself. That's courage. It's really you pushing beyond the safe and comfortable, because I think that's easy. We can all do that. We can all mask and hide our feelings and things like that. But the true strength lies in those who are willing to go there, willing to share their feelings. And then I think the second thing was that same week I went to therapy, and I went there. I went to the uncomfortable feeling. I dealt with it, and I promise you I came away so much stronger. And so again, the takeaway I took from that is the strength is in when we are vulnerable. We are willing to go there. We are willing to show up, expose ourselves. That is when we grow. That is when we get stronger. The second thing for me around vulnerability was that when we're not vulnerable, we actually create walls. And I think about a particular situation like 10 years ago. I had this really bad breakup, and so I told myself, I said, I'm not getting close to nobody. I'm gonna harden up, and nobody's getting in, right? I'm not getting hurt again. I'm fear of getting hurt. I'm not doing that no more. And so the thing is, I told myself that I didn't want to get hurt. My fear of getting hurt, okay, you not getting hurt, but guess what? I also blocked out the opportunity to receive love. Because if you think about a wall, nothing can get in or nothing is going out. As I was doing my research, I was looking up Brene Brown's work, and she had this quote on one of her videos. I just thought it was so powerful. She said, yes, she's like, vulnerability is uncomfortable, and it takes a lot of courage. But she said also, it is the birthplace of love, of joy, of having a fulfilled life. And as I thought about that, is that when we are not vulnerable, we don't even give ourselves an opportunity to experience that. And I'm telling you, I can relate to this. So just to add to that, the last piece of this is vulnerability deepens our connections. Because I think that when we're vulnerable and we're willing to share those tender or those soft spaces within ourselves, that we create a safe space, and we also create a level of understanding. Because I think about in terms of like when I've gotten in arguments, that when I'm fighting to be right and I'm in my ego, that never seems to go well. But in those moments when I'm willing to let my guard down and say, you know what, that hurt my feelings. This didn't feel good to me. Or whatever that is, when I'm willing to go there, it's usually I feel more connected. And then I think about one of my best friends. She tells me everything. Like anything. And it's no heat, no judgment. And it's things that I'd be like, well, would I really tell someone that? But because she does, and she's so vulnerable, and she shares things that are not so great, I feel this level of compassion and connectedness in a way where I'm like, oh, well, I can share these things too, because I know it's no judgment. I know that she's still gonna love me regardless of what I say. Now she's gonna tell me the truth about myself, but I appreciate the fact that we can share those deep and intimate things without judgment. So I think that's made us close over the years, because I can go months without talking to this chick, and it's just like I talked to her yesterday. So I appreciate that, but I think just the point here is that it creates and it deepens connection. Before you leave today, I'm going to give you a mental push-up for this week, an action step to move you into action around vulnerability. So the first thing I want you to do, I want you to ask yourself, if you are not vulnerable, or if you can be more vulnerable in an area, say, why am I not being vulnerable? Like, what's stopping me from really showing up authentically as I am, or going to those maybe quote unquote weak spots, or those soft spots within myself? So I'll start off my first one. So I know for me, a lot of times it's fear of reaction. How will people respond? I just create this whole story, like this whole movie about how someone's responds. So sometimes it stops me. So I challenge you to just think about that. And then secondly, I want you in the comments, because this is not a monologue, this is a dialogue. I want you to share something that is vulnerable for you. So we did this exercise last week in my coaching group, and I just think it would be so awesome. I said, well, how do you do vulnerability? Here you go. So what I want you to write is hashtag what I want you to know is, whatever that is. Whatever it is you want to know. So I'll start it off. What I want you to know about me is that I am intentionally working on being in integrity with myself. It is very easy for me to be nice over being in integrity with myself. So just to wrap this up in a nice little bow, number one, even though there's a connotation around vulnerability as weak, it's actually the strength in the vulnerability when we are really courageous enough to go there. Number two, when we aren't vulnerable, we create walls. We try to block out things, but we can't receive the good stuff either. So it's missed opportunities for us to really connect and have a fulfilling life. And then thirdly, vulnerability strengthens and deepens our connections, because we're really able to show up with another person and really be seen for who we are. So these are my tidbits, words of wisdom. Please get out here this week and do those mental push-ups. And remember to leave a comment below. What I want you to know is, Much love and light. Thank you. And I'm out.